بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We reached the section about Amr commands, which is according to my edition that I'm using now, lesson 13, page 73, because we were talking about what is the meaning of Siqatul Amr after talking about Maddatul Amr. And we reached this point. ثم إن الظاهر من السيقة أن المدلول التصديقي الجدي هو الطلب. According to Ayatollah Sadr, what is understandable as the apparent meaning from the siqa, like if'al of Amr, is that it is meant to indicate talab. Talab means asking. Yeah, so madlul tasdiqi al-jiddi, the serious thing that we can say it is meant by the speaker, is talab. Why? He says, because if we agreed that madlul tasawwuri, you remember the difference between tasawwuri and madlul tasawwuri is something that even if you hear from a machine or parrot comes to your mind. This is the thing for which the term is designated. Tasdiqi is it is meant, and jiddi is it is meant but seriously, because sometimes maybe a person is joking. It's not like a machine. He means what he says, but he means it in a humorous sense. So, if al-madlul tasawwuri, the concept which is the meaning of the term, or siqatul amr, is talab, then it is also the thing that makes sense to say that the speaker has meant it. وذلك لأنه إن قيل بأن المدلول التصوري هو النسبة الطلبية فواضح أن الطلب مصداق حقيقي للمدلول التصوري. So if it is said that madlul tasawwuri for siqatul amr is an-nisbatu talabiyya, yeah, like for example when I say idhab, by saying idhab I am asking you to go. Between you and going I am creating a relation. So if this is the madlul tasawwuri, then talab, this request or this kind of instruction, is the true instance of madlul tasawwuri, not other things for which amr can be used, like ta'ajjub and ta'ajiz and other things. فَيَكُونُ أَقْرَبَ إِلَى الْمَدْلُولِ التَّصَوُّرِ. This would be nearer to madlul tasawwuri. وظاهر كل كلام أن مدلوله التصديقي أقرب ما يكون للتطابق والمصداقية للمدلول التصوري. In every speech, what seems to be more likely is that the same thing for which this is designated is meant. It's not impossible to mean other things, but those would be in need of some extra, efforts. They need some kind of qarina to take you to that direction. If you are left to yourself and what has been said, your mind quickly goes to al-madlul al-tasawwuri. أما إذا قيل بأن المدلول التصوري هو النسبة الإرسالية. But if instead of saying that madlul tasawwuri is nisbat talabiyya, if we say it is nisbat irsaliyya, because some ulama have said it is nisbat irsaliyya, means to push someone towards something. Based on this also, فلأن المصداق الحقيقي لهذه النسبة إنما ينشأ من الطلب. Again, based on this also the same result, because the true instance for nisbat irsaliyya again is talab. When amr, siqatul amr is used for talab, you can say we are pushing someone, we are sending someone, or we are asking someone to do this. Whether it is talab or irsal, it's very close. لا من سائر الدواعي. But it's very unlikely to imagine that siqatul amr is used for other motivations and then still believe that it is designated for nisbat irsali. So whether you say tasawwuri, madlul tasawwuri is nisbat irsaliya or nisbat talabiyya, the easiest madlul tasdiqi would be talab. Yes, we are not saying it is 100% all the time this. We say this is natural. لكن قد يتفق أحيانا. But it sometimes happens أن يكون المدلول الجدي هو قصد الإخبار عن حكم شرعي آخر غير طلب المادة أو إنشاء ذلك الحكم وجعله. It is possible, it happens sometimes, that what is meant by the speaker, for example in our case Shari' Muqaddas, the lawmaker, when he says اغسل, for example, he may not mean that you must wash. It's not for creating talab. You know, sometimes someone asks, for example, prophet or imam, and also we have it in, for example, religious inquiries. Someone may ask marja that my dress has touched this material. Is it najis or not? I should wash it or I don't need to wash it. So the answer can be wash it. But when they say wash it, it doesn't mean that you must wash it. So that if you don't wash it, it is haram. It means that it is najis. If you want to use it for something that needs tahara, you must wash it. Suppose you don't use that dress anymore. Have you done haram? You cannot say it is wajib shar'an to wash it. Yeah? In other words, this is for explaining hukm waz'i. It is to say that this is najis. Najis, najasa, and tahara are hukm waz'i. They don't primarily or directly imply taklif, obligation. Indirectly, when we say something najis, indirectly it implies that you have certain things to observe. Okay? So, قد يتفق أحيانا. It sometimes happens أن يكون المدلول الجدي هو قصد الإخبار عن حكم شرعي آخر. Sometimes what is really seriously meant is to inform about another religious ruling, not asking madda. Madda means madda to fi'l al-amr. Ighsal, madda for ighsal is qasl. So when you say ighsal, you normally mean bring ghusl, wash. But here, we don't mean that you must bring washing, for example. Or إنشاء ذلك الحكم وجعله. We don't mean that we want to say this is wajib. Wujub should be understood from this. كما في قوله اغسل ثوبك من البول. If bowl touches your dress, bowl of human being, for example, or animal which is not not halal, yeah, haram gusht. If there's an animal which is not halal, like human beings, like for example, dog or things like this, cat, their bowl is najis. So we say, اغسل ثوبك من البول. Wash your dress when it is touched by bowl. But إن المراد الجدي من اغسل ليس طلب الغسل. In al-Misarf, what is the difference between غسل and غسل?
Ghusl is washing and ghusl taking bath.
Yeah, but technically, what is the difference between غسل and غسل? غسل is masdar, غسل is ism masdar. Yeah? غسل is the result of غسل. Washing is masdar, to wash. But غسل is the result. Yeah? Like, for example, قتل. قتل can be killing. This is masdar, to kill. But قتل sometimes is murder. Murder is ism masdar. It's the result of killing. Yeah? Murder. So, the serious thing which is meant by اغسل here is not talab al-qasl. Laysa talab al-qasl. Is not asking for washing. Why? إذ قد يتنجس ثوب الشخص فيهمله ولا يغسله ولا إثم عليه. Because sometimes maybe someone's dress becomes najis and يهمله, he doesn't care, he doesn't go and wash it. Yeah? إحمال means to leave it, to abandon it. ولا إثم عليه, he has not committed sin. إنما المراد, so this was not to say that you must wash as an obligation. What was meant was بيان أن الثوب يتنجس بالبول. Thawb becomes najis with bowl. وهذا حكم وضعي. This is حكم وضعي. Opposite to حكم taklifi. حكم taklifi is directly related to your taklif obligation. وإنه يطهر بالغسل. This is najis, with washing it will become pure. وهذا حكم وضعي آخر. It is najis, one حكم وضعي. It can be made tahir by washing, is another حكم وضعي. Yeah? Is possible to wash it and clean it? Yes. But again, this is not taklif directly. We are talking about water being something that can purify. في هذه الحالة تسمى السيقة بالأمر الإرشادي. In such conditions, we call siqa amr irshadi, not amr mawlavi. It is not a taklif from master in the sense of explaining his will, his demand, his expectation. It is something that the master is advising on it. Yeah? Of course, hukm irshadi can be even for ahkam taklifiyah. It doesn't need to be waz'iyah. Even, for example, if Shara says you must inquire about your faith. Again, here they say is hukm irshadi, because you are not yet a mukallaf, you have not yet become a believer. So Shara is telling you what your aql says. Or if you have, for example, some illness and Shara says, don't eat this food, eat that food. Again, this is hukm, a taklif, but this taklif is not mawlavi, is irshadi. Yeah? So it's not that if you don't listen to this, you will be punished. If you don't listen to this, you would suffer by losing the interest which was there. Like a doctor, when a doctor tells you, don't take this food, he is not putting taklif on you. He is doing irshad, he is informing you. So sometimes also God or Prophet or Imams give us irshad. Yeah, means they advise us, they inform us, they educate us, but there is no taklif as such involved. If you don't listen, you just lose. But if it is taklif, if you don't listen, not only you lose maslaha, you also are entitled for punishment. وفي هذه الحالة تسمى الصيغة بالأمر الإرشادي. In these situations, the صيغة is called أمر إرشادي لأنها إرشاد وإخبار عن ذلك الحكم. Because this is إرشاد and إخبار about that ruling. وكما أن المعروف, another issue. كما أن المعروف في دلالة مادة الأمر على الطلب أنها تدل على الطلب الوجودي كذلك الحال في صيغة الأمر. If you remember, we said for maddatul amr from amara ya'muru. If there is something from amara ya'muru, from maddatul amr, we said that by itself is understood as wujub. It can be used for istihbab, but it needs some evidence. Yeah? That talab is zahirun fil wujub, means al-ma'na zahiri is wujub. Here also for siqatul amr, we say the same. كذلك الحال في صيغة الأمر بمعنى أنها تدل على النسبة الإرسالية الحاصلة من إرادة لزومية. Here also, what we understand from صيغة الأمر is that he really wants this. It's a binding. Yeah? It's binding. It's necessary. هذا هو الصحيح للتبادر بحسب الفهم العرفي العام. According to the common sense understanding, when you hear افعل, it comes to your mind that the speaker really wants it. Doesn't give you just preference. وكثيرا ما يستعمل غير فعل الأمر من الأفعال في إفادة الطلب. Many times, other things can be used to indicate talab. Instead of saying if'al, if'al, if'ala, if'alu, sometimes other things are used. For example, fi'l muzari with lamul amr, liyadhhab, liyaf'al, ليغسل, ليغتسل, ليصلي. So sometimes it is this بإدخال لام الأمر عليه. Yeah? So it's very straightforward. بلا عناية means it doesn't need any consideration. But sometimes it is بدون إدخاله. Sometimes they bring فعل مضارع without lam. There is no lam amr, but you understand that it means you should do it. For example, someone says, I had doubt in the first rak'ah of salat. شككت في الركعة الأولى. Says, يعيد الصلاة. He should repeat the salat. Although يعيد is فعل مضارع. فعل مضارع is for إخبار, is a statement. he's repeating or he repeats. But here means ليعد, he must repeat. Yeah? When we say يعيد, it means ليعد, he must repeat. كما إذا قيل يعيد ويغتسل. For example, he says, something has touched my dress. Bowl has touched my dress. So he sent this message through his friend. When you see the alim, please ask him. He says, my friend, because if he was present, he would say, اغتسل. But he's absent. He has sent a message via a friend, and he says, tell him, يغتسل, means اغتسل. ويشتمل الاستعمال حينئذ على عناية. Here, this use is different from lamul amr. Lamul amr, you don't need any consideration, any anaya, straightforward. But here, there is anaya. So there is extra consideration. Why? Because its literal meaning is not amr. Its literal meaning is a statement. لأن الجملة حينئذ خبرية بطبيعتها. By its nature is a statement. But it is used في مقام الطلب. It is used to indicate a command. وفي الأول يدل على الوجوب بنحو دلالة الصيغة عليه. When it is with لام الأمر, it indicates wujub exactly like siqatul amr. It's very clear. Whether you say اغسل or ليغسل. اغسل for مخاطب, ليغسل for قائل, for absent. But in the second form, وفي الثاني يوجد خلاف في الدلالة على الوجوب. Here, when we say يعيد, it's not straightforward. Therefore, ulama have a little controversy here, disagreement here. This khilaf, he doesn't talk about it here. He says, inshallah, في الحلقة المقبلة, in the third level, he talks about it. Okay. The next issue is, this is the last part of Amr. After that, we go to Nahi. Amr can be used for other purposes. For example, sometimes they use Amr in order to say something it is not haram. We had this in Al-Mujaz and other books. You know, for example, even in common sense, in Orf, if doctor has told someone when he was ill, don't eat this food. He goes another time, doctor says, you are okay, you are healed. He says, can I eat that food? He says, eat. Does this eat means he must eat? Or no, it just means that ban is over. So sometimes when something was banned, was prohibited, later they bring amr, but it just means that ban is over. Even sometimes it was not banned, but there was tawahhumul hadr. There was a worry, a concern that something might be prohibited. So he says, should I do this? Because he's worried, maybe this is not permissible. And he says, you should, means you can. That doesn't mean you must do it. Dalalatun ukhra lil-amr. Other indications for command. عرفنا أن الأمر يدل على الطلب. We realize that command indicates the meaning of command. Amr means command, and the meaning of talab means the same. ويدل على أن الطلب على نحو الوجوب. It means that the request, the command is obligatory. But there are other dalalat which are likely and they have been discussed. هناك دلالات أخرى محتملة. There are other indications that are likely. وقع البحث عن ثبوتها له وعدمه. And they have been discussed whether those dalalat are there or not. For example, دلالته على نفي الحرمة. دلالته على نفي الحرمة بدلا عن دلالته على الطلب والوجوب. Sometimes it indicates removal of prohibition instead of indicating command and obligation in certain circumstances. How? وهي ما إذا ورد عقيب التحريم. When amr is used, aqib means after, tahrim, prohibition. Something was prohibited, like doctor I said to you. Or for example, in the Quran, there was a time that, in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the requirements of fasting was not to have marital relation, even in the night. Then this was removed, and Allah says, "Bashiruhunna." Al-ana bashiruhunna. Bashiruhunna is amr, but doesn't mean that it has become wajib. It means the ban is over. Or, for example, about hunting. There was a question: if something is hunted by animals which are trained, kilab mu'allam, they were dogs, and maybe still today, that they are used for hunting. By the time, for example, this bird is reached, has been died because the dog has killed it. Anyway, there are certain conditions. So, is this now halal or it is haram? The ayah says, "Kulu mimma amsakna." You can eat from this. It doesn't mean you must eat. Kulu is amr, but this amr is just to say it is not haram. It is not really a command. You understand? So I gave you 3 examples from doctor, the issue of months of Ramadan, and this one. هِيَ مَا إِذَا وَرَدَ عَقِيبَ التَّحْرِيمِ. Like when doctor said no, or in the months of Ramadan was haram. أو في حالة يحتمل فيها ذلك, like hunting. In the case of hunting, it was not prohibited, but it was possible. In their mind, there was a worry. Is it halal? Is it not? Then Ayatollah Sa'd tries to analyze this. He says, "As-sahihu anna siqat al-amr ala mustawa al-madlul at-tasawwuri la tatagayyaru dalalatuha." The right opinion is that in such circumstances, madlul at-tasawwuri for siqi amr has not changed. Yeah? بل تظل دالة على النسبة الطلبية. It still remains to be indicating النسبة الطلبية, like other cases. But at the level of مدلول التصديقي, there is a difference here. So مدلول التصوري is the same. غير أن مدلولها التصديقي هنا يصبح مجملا. Here مدلول التصديقي becomes ambiguous because Orf, common sense say, we know that it is no longer haram. It is not prohibited. This is what we know. It's permissible. But is it also necessary or not? They say we cannot understand. We are not sure. When we hear amr after prohibition, we cannot say it means you must do it. at least we can say it is likely, but إذا جاء الاحتمال بطل الاستدلال. When there is likelihood, then you cannot prove it. غير أن مدلولها التصديقي هنا يصبح مجملا ومرددا بين الطلب الجدي وبين نفي التحريم. مدلول تصدیقی becomes مجمل, ambiguous, مردد. It is either this or that. Either طلب الجدي, it really wants you to do it, or just نفي التحريم, there is no prohibition. لأن ورود الأمر في إحدى الحالتين المذكورتين, because when amr comes in a situation that you have one of those two conditions. What are those two conditions? Either there was prohibition or there was likelihood of prohibition. Prohibition like doctor or the case of month of Ramadan. Likelihood like hunting using animal, dog, which is trained. So whether it is prohibition or there is a likelihood of having prohibition, in these both cases, amr is not strong enough to indicate wujub. We can be sure that it is not haram, but we cannot be sure that it is wajib. لأن ورود الأمر في إحدى الحالتين المذكورتين يوجب الإجمال من هذه الناحية. Because occurrence of amr in one of these two conditions indicates ijmal. It necessitates. Yujibu means necessitates. It necessitates ijmal. Ijmal means ambiguity. It's not clear. Another thing that can be used, amr can be used for, is suppose you have wajib. If you remember, in previous books we had this. We said wajib has many classifications. One type of wajib was wajib mu'aqqat. Yeah, when something has timing. Yes. And then wajib mu'aqqat could be muwassa' or mudayyaq. Sometimes the time is just enough. Sometimes you have more than what you need. For example, for Salat al-Zuhr, you have more than enough time. You know, it's not that you have only time for 4 rak'ah prayer. There is a time framework which is more than the time that you need for prayer. This is muwassa. There is was'a. But sometimes mudayyaq, you have to do it immediately and there is limited time. If there is amr which is mu'aqqat, muwassa or mudayyaq doesn't make difference. For example, salli salat al-dhuhr or salli salat al-fajr in this time framework. Here there are two options, two possibilities. One is to say that this command can be analyzed and broken down into two commands. Salli, for example, بعد الفجر قبل طلوع الشمس can be analyzed into two commands. Salli, say your prayer, plus observe this time. Make sure that do it in this time. And if for any reason you cannot do it or you don't do it in that time, the first command remains. So if you wake up and sun is in the middle of the sky, one command is missed, but Salah is still there. So you have to do Salatul Qaza. Yeah? But if we say that no, we had only one command, we had only one matlub, one thing which was desirable, and that was salat in that time. If you have not performed it in that time, that is missed totally. Then the result is that for Salatul Qaza, you need a new command. If there is no new command, then you don't do Qaza. Understand the difference? So, this is an issue that we need to decide. Whenever taklif belongs to something with timing, we have to understand whether that timing is a second request or it is part of the first request. Without that timing, there is no request at all. You know, for example, sometimes I am very thirsty, I ask you to bring cold water. Yeah? So, you have no cold water, but you have water, room temperature. You know that although I said cold water, but if there is no cold water, even, normal water is also good. That was a kind of bonus, or that was a secondary thing. Yeah? If I am thirsty. But for example, if I tell you I am in a hurry and I want to have a tea before going to the class, give me hot water. Here you realize that to be hot is very important. If you just bring me normal water, you cannot say, at least I have done one thing for you. You wanted two things, at least I managed to bring you one thing. Because here, normal water is useless. I just need hot water. You understand the difference? So sometimes that additional side, that additional condition is extra thing that you want. Sometimes that additional is very important. Without that, you don't want even the other one. منها دلالة الأمر بالفعل المؤقت بوقت محدد على وجوب القضاء خارج الوقت على من لم يأت بالواجب في وقته. Another thing that can be understood from Amr is this. Dalalatul Amr, the command for a fi'l, an action which comes with a specific timing. This Amr indicates wujub al-qadha, ala wujub al-qadha, the necessity of qadha. Yeah? Kharaj al-waqt. After the time is over, you must do qadha. Who should do qadha? Man lam ya'ta bil wajib fi waqt. The one who has not managed to bring this wajib in its time, now has to do qadha. توضيح الحال في ذلك. Explanation is this. أن الأمر بالفعل المؤقت تارة يكون أمرا واحدا بهذا الفعل المقيد فلا يقتضي إلا الإتيان به فإن لم يأت به حتى انتهى الوقت فلا موجب من قبله للقضاء بل يحتاج إيجاب القضاء إلى أمر جديد وتارة أخرى يكون الأمر بالفعل المؤقت أمرين مجتمعين في بيان واحد. He says, to explain this, we should say, when a command has belonged to an action with timing, sometimes this is one command for that specific action. Therefore, it only means you must bring this. And if you don't bring it till time expires, there is no need to do qadha, because one thing was wanted. If you want to say qadha is obligatory, you need another reason, specifically saying that you must do qadha. But sometimes this amr, which has belonged to this verb with a specific time, is divided. It's indeed two amr. It's compound. The action is desirable by itself. Time is also desirable. So if you can, you must bring both. But if for any reason you miss the time, at least you bring the action. وتارة أخرى يكون الأمر بالفعل المؤقت أمرين. Indeed, this is two commands مجتمعين في بيان واحد, but they have been put together in one statement. أحدهما أمر بذات الفعل على الإطلاق. One of them is command for the essence of that action. Salat. Bring salat. Doesn't say which time. Second amr is بإيقاعه في الوقت الخاص. Bring that salat in this time. فإن فات المكلف امتثال الأمر الثاني. If mukallaf has missed the second part, means to do it in that particular time, بقي عليه الأمر الأول. The first command remains on his shoulder. ويجب عليه أن يأتي بالفعل حينئذ. Then he must bring that action ولو خرج الوقت. And if the time has gone, has expired, فلا يحتاج إيجاب القضاء إلى أمر جديد. To say that qaza is necessary doesn't need a second command. Why? Because even from the first one we understand that still we must bring it. Because salat by itself was matlub. You missed time, okay, you missed one thing, but the other thing you must bring it. Which one is al-ma'na al-zahiri? Whenever you hear such thing, should you go for the first interpretation or second interpretation? وظاهر دليل الأمر بالمؤقت هو وحدة الأمر. The apparent meaning is that these are mixed and together as one thing. It's a holistic approach. So if you miss it altogether. Therefore, qadha needs new amr. Okay? Qadha needs a new command. فيحتاج إثبات تعدده على الوجه الثاني إلى قرينة خاصة. If someone wants to say that it means two separate things, it needs evidence, a specific evidence. Otherwise, we take them together, and therefore qaza needs a new command. I don't know if you have noticed in Risale, if someone has doubt how many salatul qadha he should do. For example, 4 or 5. Normally they say the minimum is enough. Why? Because qadha, according to most of ulama, is understood from an independent command. So you don't know whether 4 commands have belonged to you or 5. So you do the minimum. But if we say qaza is understood from the same command, then you have to do ihtiyat, because you know that you had to do salat. You don't know whether you did ada or not. اشتغال يقيني يقتضي الفراق اليقيني. So if qaza doesn't need new command, then you have to do more. You must do as many till you become certain that you have performed your wajib. But because qaza needs a new command and you don't know whether 4 qaza have belonged to you, applied to your 5, you can do the minimum. So it has practical also impact. The last point about amr. This is the final point. Sometimes we have al-amru bil-amr. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or the Prophet says, on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, command your children to say their prayers at certain age. Muru sabyanakum bis salat. Okay? Who is commanding first? Allah. But Allah is not commanding the child directly. Allah commands the father or mother to command their children. Okay? This is al-amru bil-amr. Is it clear? There are two ways to understand, to interpret this. One is to say, al-amru bil-amri amrun. So if God says to someone to say another person, a third party, to do something, like God tells the father to say to the child to do something. One interpretation is to say that this means that God has commanded the child to do it. The other option is no. God has only asked the father. And if father for any reason doesn't command the child is not commanded by God to do it. Or if child hears this, that God has asked the father, but the father has not said this, child has no command. Okay? In offices also this happens. For example, maybe the main manager, the top manager says your manager that ask the employee to do this. As long as your manager has not told you, it seems you are not required to do it. Even if you know that he has asked the manager, your manager to tell you, but since you have not received any communication from your direct manager, it seems that you are not responsible. But some people say, no, it doesn't make difference. As long as you know the top one has asked, you should do it. You understand the difference? So, منها دلالة الأمر بالأمر بشيئين على الأمر بذلك الشيء مباشرة. Indication of asking to ask something, this to say that this indicates to ask that thing directly. A asks B to do what? To do another ask command. A says to B, tell the C to do something. Does it mean that A is asking C to do it? No. بمعنى أن الأمر أن الآمر إذا أمر زيدان آمر means like the top one, the one who commands. إن الآمر, if he says to Zayd, he asks Zayd to ask Khalid. So A asks B, who is Zayd, and says to Zayd, you must ask Khalid, who is C, to do something, shay'an. For example, to go somewhere, to buy something, to say prayer. هل يستفاد, is it understood from this what? الأمر المباشر لخالد من ذلك? Can we say that Khalid is directly commanded by A? A didn't say to Khalid. A said to Zayd, Zayd, you tell Khalid. So, yeah? So he said to Zayd, you tell Khalid to do this. Can we say A has told Khalid? Or we can not say A has told Khalid. هل يستفاد الأمر المباشر لخالد من ذلك أو لا؟ فعلى الأول, if you say yes, it doesn't make difference. It is like the first one asked the third one. If you accept this, the result is لو أن خالدا اطلع على ذلك قبل أن يأمره زيد لوجب عليه الإتيان بذلك الشيء. If Khalid somehow comes to know that A has such command from B, B has not yet told Khalid, Zayd has not yet told Khalid, but A has asked B and the news has reached Khalid. Or like God has said to father, to ask your child. The child knows this ayah, but the father has not asked him. So can we say that God has commanded the child? But if we say no, it is not like that, it's not mubashir, على الثاني لا يكون ملزما بشيء. Khalid is not required to do anything because he has not heard it from the one who was supposed to tell him this. ومثاله في الفقه أمر الشارع لولي الصبي بأن يأمر الصبي بالصلاة. In jurisprudence, the example is this. Shari Muqaddas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and under him the Prophet, commands the parent of the child to command the child to say his prayer or her prayer. If it is said, فإن قيل, if it is said, بأن الأمر بالأمر بشيء أمر به. If we say that commanding to command is like commanding directly, كان أمر الشارع هذا أمرا للصبي. This command from Shari is a command for the child as well. ولو على نحو الاستحباب. Of course, we know that Shari doesn't want salat from children before bulugh as a wajib, but it becomes mustahab. But anyway, it's a command from God. But if it is not accepted, then we say, okay, he has to hear from his father or mother. If they don't tell him, there is no command from God for it. So alhamdulillah, we managed to finish amr, maddatul amr, sighatul amr, and other things for which amr can be used. Inshallah, in the next session, we will study nahi, prohibition. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.